well done. A good point here against Manchester United. You made it hard for them in both ends. So what pleased you most about this performance?
The resilience to come back. We knew that the difference can be made off the bench as well. It happened last game again. So yeah, we were able to fight until the 90 minutes, and yeah, it's better to not lose. So we're able to get that point against a good team as well.
Yeah, talking about difference from the bench, Emil, you needed 1 minute and 33 seconds and one touch to score that goal. Could you talk us through that?
Yeah, it was all really quick, to be honest. I know when Alex gets the ball, I know his trademark cross, So, I knew where he was going to put it, and I just had to make sure I was there at the right time.
Did you see his movement?
I'll be honest, this time I didn't. I was aiming for Raul, but then I know he makes that running behind as well, so I just put in the area and I trust him to get onto the ball.
We kind of got used to seeing players coming from the bench and making a difference in this team. How do you think you guys keep these competitive levels so high? Because you don't have a large number in terms of squad.
I think it starts from training, We're very competitive in training, and, I think it comes from there. We want to score goals, we want to contribute to the team, and we know when we come off the bench we have to work hard and try and score, so yeah.
And Alex, you kept putting yourself in good positions throughout the game. What helped you the most to find this position, especially to play through Man United's midfield?
I had trust in whether it was going to be Cesc or Jedi or Anthony Robinson coming on the pitch to push on high, and it allows me to go in that pocket. It's something we worked on in training and we're able to execute in the match. I mean, we knew that we'd be able to get behind their two midfields and the three centre-backs wouldn't want to jump, so we exploited that today.
And Emil, of course, you had a tough season last season with injuries. So what are your expectations for this one?
I think just to stay fit, get consistent minutes on the pitch. Give my all for the team, and hopefully we can start winning games as well.
And what would be a good season for Fulham, Alex?
To get more points than we did last season. I mean, we broke the record, so we aim to break it again and hopefully challenge for a European spot.
Emil, well done for the goal, but please do the honours for player of the match.
Yeah, bro. Thank you, my guy. Appreciate you, bro.
He scored the goal, but Alex Iwobi set him up, his player of the match today. That goal will probably do the world of good for Emil Smith Rowe, especially confidence-wise.
Yeah, he would have hoped before the game that he was going to be starting the game. He didn't. Josh King played in his position, which for any player, it dents your confidence slightly. So when you come on, have an impact. They all did, to be fair. I think that's what the players do under Marco Silva. They have an impact. They don't sulk. And the best thing you can do when you come on is have an impact in the game. If you have an assist or have a moment, or especially if you can score and get your team a point, it'll do him the world of good. And he can knock on the manager's door then saying, I'm ready for the next game. Start me. I'm ready. 93
seconds after being introduced off the bench, he was on the score sheet. Take us through it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they all had an impact. Tom made a really good point. Muniz, Anthony Robinson's one of the best left-backs in the division, but Dalot makes a poor, sloppy turn there. And Robinson's got really good patience. I love this. The little run from Robinson. What a ball from Iwobi that is. And it's just great awareness.
It's too easy, isn't it?
It is, but that turn from Dalot, you just can't do that. You can't turn the ball over there. But watch this little run from Robinson. He just runs in behind, gives that little space, and Buemo's got a track. Look at Bruno and Smith Rowe. Bruno's ahead of Smith Rowe. That's why when you play in that position, Jules, you've got to track back. You've got to defend. You're not a 10 anymore. You've got to defend. And he doesn't do that. Smith Rowe knows that. Gamble's in there. Great little touch just to get it past the goalkeeper. And they deserve that. He's a smart player, Smith Rowe. He's just got to stay healthy.
That's the negative side as well. If you're going to play Bruno Fernandes deeper, who is very offensive and a brilliant footballer, technically fantastic, pick a pass, score a goal, got great vision. If you're going to play him as a number 8, it takes a lot away from his game. And Smith Rowe recognised that Bruno Fernandes was in the right position, but he looked at his goalkeeper, completely switched off, and Smith Rowe knew exactly what Bruno Fernandes was thinking. He was thinking, if a goalkeeper gets it, I might be able to cheat, I might be able to have a little bit of space to play in. And it cost them because he didn't track the runner. That's what you get when you drop a number 10 back into a number 8 position. It's difficult for them boys because they're so offensive.
As you mentioned, and we were just showing you there, that 17 last season and now up to 19 since the start of last season. That's goals scored by substitutes for Fulham. They clearly have a knack for it. How does Marco Silva do it? What do you think?
Well, that's why the owner said, I'm not going to buy you any more players because you've got so many good ones coming from the bench. I mean, that's an amazing stat. Having the opportunity to bring players from the bench can impact. We said before, what they had, Traore, Muniz, Harry Wilson had a big impact on the game. They've got Robinson, I think, is easily one of the best left backs in the division. He looked fantastic when he came on. So they have options, and that's a huge plus for a manager.
That's an ability from the manager to keep players on the bench happy. And that's not an easy skill, because we've been pros and we know what it's like when you get dropped. I
bet you moaned like mad.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah, I was.
Friday was the worst. our manager used to name the team on a Friday and wasn't in. I sulked all Friday night, because that's what can happen. But then you get your head on and then you have an impact, or try to, because of your teammates on a Saturday. So it's a skill from a manager when you're picking a team and picking a squad to make sure the most important guys are the guys on the bench ready to go when they get brought on. The 11 takes care of itself. Once tactically you put them in the positions and the games that they've played in, it's the skill to having the guys on the bench with the right attitude, and that's what he's got.
Yeah, fascinating point made by you there. Of course, skill from the manager and that equaliser, wonderful. We've gone through it. But let's look at the goal from Manchester United that gave them the lead. And given what we'd said about the goalkeeper, their goalkeeper and corners, actually interesting, they scored from a corner.
Well, first of all, it's a fabulous ball in from Bruno. He puts it into an absolute perfect area. But that looks like a push from Euro on Bassi, because in the end, that space that he creates, which is probably a yard, I know it's not a huge push, it's enough. It's a yard, and it allows Euro to get a free header. Obviously, it takes a deflection of Muniz, I think, and he ends up being an own goal because it's probably going wide. But that, I think, at any level of football, is a push. And I think Don made a really good point at halftime about the penalty. Consistency is the most important thing. Just whatever you're going to blow, just be consistent about it. We'll see that given, we'll see it not, and I think that's a frustrating thing.
See, we had a little bit of fun with the manuals before, but I'd be fascinated to see why the referee, why they haven't come up with any other conclusion that's a foul. If they say insufficient push to try and create that half a yard, they're wrong, because Euro clearly pushes. We've all done it. We've been on the end of it when someone pushes in the back. It knocks your balance. It knocks your positional out by a yard. We've also been an offender where you push someone in the back to try and create half a yard. That is 100% a foul from Euro. There's not even a debate. It can't be any other than a Fulham free kick.
The official word is no significant impact.
It's not true. How can that be true? You see, Bassi's a strong boy. He gets pushed in the back. It knocks him a yard. It takes something to knock Bassi a yard.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can't be. I mean,
it looked like a push to me, but they're getting paid to make the decisions. They didn't see it that way. But again, consistency is the most important thing. It looked like a pretty obvious push, even though
difficult for the referee to spot. But that's when you have to lean on your VAR team.
Yeah, but there's 5 of them. I mean,
well,
one of them can see.
I think the reason why we're kind of harping on that point is because of what happened in the first half and the way that Fulham conceded a penalty for a same kind of similar offence.
Yeah, a bit of wrestling, a bit of
dancing.
Strictly come dancing, a little bit of... There was a lot going on. I mean, from that angle, you don't really see it. But Bassi just kind of grabs Mason Mount, and there's probably no real need for it, but then Mason Mount grabs Bassi as well, so
the consistency things happened in the same game. If you're going to give a foul for that, you have to then give a foul from Lenny Yoro.
And I mean, here, this is Mount kind of, as he's going down, he kind of pulls on Bassi for quite a significant time. But again, even on the floor there, you see Luke Shaw, and is it
Muniz? Luke Shaw on Muniz.
They're wrestling as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So
I think from the referees,
every game you're going to get this, people wrestling.
I think from the referee's point of view, I think it's worth giving him a big out, because he can't see everything that's going on the pitch. But then your VAR team, they surely have to spot the foul from Euro.
I love it.
Yeah, you don't see that every day. The referee going into the penalty taker.
That's the only reason. People are going to say, oh, you don't moan, you miss the penalty, whatever. But when you take a penalty or a free kick, you have a run-up. So you set the ball and you take 2 or 3 steps. And he was in the middle of that process. Like a golfer, like anybody, he had a process, and that was interrupted. Okay, it was a terrible penalty. But that, I'm not going to say it put him off, but it maybe disrupted the routine. That, you never see Bruno miss a penalty like that, ever. He's normally so clean and consistent.
I think the main question is that enough to put you off?
No, it shouldn't do.
Well, it will for a second, but you would have thought he's experienced when he's 30 years old. He would have just... He went back to the ball because he wanted to reset the process. So you would have thought with his experience he would have reset, but he obviously, he wasn't thinking. The ref just not looking. He doesn't see Bruno.
And whenever have you seen Bruno Fernandes go for power on his penalties? He's normally cute.
But see, now he goes back to the ball because he wants to reset again. So
I think the best analogy, if you think of it from a golfer's analogy, once they hit a bad shot, they reset straight away. And Bruno didn't, because he didn't go back to his normal routine. I still expected Bruno to score, but the last technique I would imagine from him is trying to see a whip one into the stanchion. He's normally very calm. He has eyes on the goalkeeper. He has eyes on the ball, and he knows where the goalkeeper is, his peripheral vision, sits him down, slots it either side. So whether it knocked him for a second, probably, but the end result shouldn't.
Yeah, he was talking to the referee at the start of the second half, remember, probably saying something about that. I guess we'll never know. What we do know is that we will get more.
Ruben, you looked frustrated during many moments in the match. What frustrated you the most about the performance?
No, it was. I think we can do better, but we are putting the effort. So that is the most important thing for me. I think in some moments we did well, especially in the beginning of the game, and I felt that after the goal, we were thinking about the result, just the result, and this team needs to win games, so we need to focus on the performance, what we need to do, because if we think about the results, we forget to do the normal things. So that was my feeling. We were okay until the goal. We scored a goal, and we should do the opposite. So have more possessions, push more the opponent, and I think we were not smart in that moment.
Do you think then the main challenge is to keep that urgency, that mentality of not only the result, but also how do you push that into the players?
No, it's just we have to think in this moment, we need to think about the performance. Of course, I'm not crazy. I know what is the feeling of a player that plays in the team that has to win every match, but I felt that in the past. I don't feel lack of urgency in this moment. What I felt is that we missed the penalty, we missed some chances, and then we score, and I have the feeling that the team was, now we have to defend this goal, and that is not lack of urgency, it's maybe urgency in the opposite side. So we just need to focus on our movements, the way we have to play the game until the end.
What stands out for me from that interview is that he said they scored, and then he felt as if they felt, the players, that they need to defend that lead.
Probably because I think after finishing, 15th last season, they want to find a win game. So you get ahead, and then you think, all right, maybe we'll find a way to protect this. But for the first 15, 20 minutes, I thought they played fantastic. Couldn't you have 3 huge opportunities? And that's because they just played, focused on how they want to play. Mason Mount got in some good positions. And then they scored, and then they just dropped off. And Fulham controlled the game. And if that game would have gone on any longer, Fulham probably could have won it. So I think in that sense, he nailed it, Ruben, and he's spot on in his analysis of the game. They kind of stopped playing, allowed Fulham back into the game when they should have just gone and tried to win the game and get a second goal.
Does that speak to the fact that they've won only once in their last 11 league games going back to last season?
Yeah.
And as he said, when they scored the goal, they were already thinking about the result.
5 wins in 24 as well in the league. He's trying to change the culture. The players that he's brought in are very, very good signings. The likes of Cunha, the likes of Iwobi, they will change things. My worry watching that Man United second half performance is how they drifted out of the game. That's when you're looking for your players who have an impact to produce a moment, to run hard, to try and get on the ball, create things. I think the effort was there in general. I think he's spot on in his analysis there, Ruben Amorim. But I've tipped Man United to finish 6th. I thought the improvements would be a little bit sharper and a little bit better. I know it's only 2 games in, and I said before kick-off today, the performance when you play first day of the season against Arsenal at home, the adrenaline's there. First game of the season, everyone's on a high. You can perform. And they should have got something out of the game. The acid test for Man United to see where they're going to be at the end of the season was today. They had to win that game today. And the fact that they took the lead, dropped off, and as Owen said, it was Fulham that were going to win the game, that'll be a big worry.
Well, who were you hoping to see more from today then, Owen?
Well, I think for me the biggest worry is I love Cunha, I love Mbeumo. Bruno, we know he had a bad day today. The one thing, my biggest worry going forward is the goalkeeping situation isn't addressed and the striker position isn't addressed. And I've never seen a team win without those 2 positions, with top players in those positions. So maybe they're going to address that in the next week. Maybe somebody comes in, they don't. But I think goalkeeper, striker, he's got to address first. I think that the 2 in behind, Cunha and Mbeumo, are fantastic. But I think the 2 at the top and the back, they need to be addressed ASAP. Because if you look at the fixtures coming, obviously Burnley expect them to win. But City, Chelsea, they are really, really difficult fixtures.
Yeah, and then Liverpool 2 games after that to come as well. OK, so a draw for Manchester United. It's 2 1-1 draws for Fulham to start the season. Let's hear from their manager. Here's Marco Silva.
I saw you were very frustrated with their goal. Can you understand why the VAR wouldn't change that decision?
I cannot understand. I would like to explain everything to you from the first whistle until the last, but I don't have this. It's not my job. I don't have these competences as well. I don't want to go in this direction. I think everybody in the world saw what's happened this afternoon at Craven Cottage.
Your subs doing well is a story that we've known for a while. What's been important for you from the manager's perspective to manage this group of players? Because we know you don't have a very large group of players. And is this as well a good argument for you to have more signings because you can use really well this group of players that you have?
And we need. I'm repeating always. We have a great group of guys, lads, boys, as you want to call them, man. They have their families, all the things, but they are guys that they give always everything for the shirt. They have the right mindset, open mind, always to try to learn. We adjusted some things this week to prepare well the game strategic point of view, and they understood, they executed well, and they are giving everything as always. And the guys that love the football club, they love them as well. They have to be proud, of course. We as a club, we need help. Myself and the players, they need help, and they need the new signings to give different conditions for us, to give different solutions at the end, to give more, to have more competitiveness every single day, because just in this way you can grow. But as you mentioned, the players that they came in, they were brilliant again. Last week was the same. Last season was the story of our season 2.
What do you think Marco Silva will be thinking about this team and where he'd like to bring some players in? I mean, as Owen has reminded us plenty, just a goalkeeper.
I think even in that interview there, it feels like he's getting the max out of this group of players. But I think he needs help. I think he needs a little bit more quality. As we mentioned, the depth is there, so it's a bit of a contradiction on the bench. But I think in the starting 11, it needs a little bit more punch. I think it needs something. I mean, Smith Rowe provided that off the bench today, but when you look at them, Bassey and Anderson, terrific at the back, but you think any sort of knock to one of those two, they might be harmed by that. But I think in terms of the job that he's doing, faultless, A1. I mean, he couldn't get more out of the players that he's getting out of. That's what we mentioned before about the players come off the bench. So they're having an impact, but he is having an impact on them. Tactically, he's always been very smart. But I think for Fulham to try and kick on, and this is probably the hardest thing in the Premier League, when you're a team that's in and around sort of 8th, 9th and 10th, is how you get into that top 6. That's the hardest part, and you do that by investment, and you do that by trying to bring more quality in. It's hard, though.
Yeah, Premier League points record last season for them. They were in the conversation for Europe with an outside chance up until the last few weeks as well. For Marco Silva, what do you think went right today?
Well, I thought they hung in there when Man United were by far the better of the two teams, especially at the start of the game. And as the game kind of grew on, I thought they grew into the game. I thought the subs played a huge part in that. So I think he'll be quite proud and confident, because I thought at the start of the game they looked passive, too passive to show Manchester United too much respect. But I think the one thing he has one of the most experienced teams in the division. I think the third oldest last season, and I think that shows the experience. They hang in there and they can find a way to get a result, like they did against Brighton last week.